Will Diana be able to escape the underworld and save her mother Circe from the clutches of Hades, or will this be the last decision she ever makes? Well, let's hop into the pages of Absolute Wonder Woman issue number 7 and find out what happens next together, shall we? So then, as this brand new issue opens up, we're treated to yet another little flashback to Diana's time as a child growing up all alone on Hell Island. Today was a very important day, mainly because it was the first time Diana ever met Persephone, the unwilling bride of Hades, god of the underworld. If you don't know your Greek mythology, Persephone is basically a goddess of vegetation who represents the seasons, who was kidnapped by Hades and brought to the underworld, but due to some shenanigans involving pomegranate seeds, she was allowed to live half of her time in the upper realm. She basically tells this story to Diana, and it's very obvious to see that Persephone sees a lot of herself in the poor kid. She's also a prisoner of the underworld. Persephone says that life herself walks in its path, but unfortunately, because this is the realm of the dead, everything doesn't end up living for that long. However, against all odds, some things like this tree that Diana helps her tend actually does survive, and again, this is part of a much bigger metaphor that ends up going throughout this issue. Now, back in the present, Persephone and Hades are watching Wonder Woman duke it out with the Chimera in the arena. The implication here is pretty obvious. If Wonder Woman wins, she will be allowed to walk free. If she loses, well, she's going to be dead. Hades wonders to himself if he should allow magic in the arena anymore, only for Persephone to really end up roasting him real good by saying, well, you know, if you took magic away from this fight, then you would be extra embarrassed when Diana beats you with only one arm. Damn. Didn't know Persephone was also the goddess of sass. Hades' extra insurance policy is still the imprisoned Circe, and speaking of which, we're treated to yet another flashback, one lonely night wherein Circe in her desperation made a plea to the Hecate, the ancient goddess of witchcraft and also Diana's benefactor. Circe basically is forced to admit that she doesn't know how to actually get Diana up to the mortal realm so she can start doing the whole Wonder Woman thing. The Hecate can't tell her the whole story because unfortunately godly ears are eavesdropping on them right now, so instead she is forced to give poor Circe a riddle to unravel. Basically, she has foreseen it with her godly eyes that the princess known as Diana will rise twice, once for a little bit, and then again more permanently, but the hows and whys of how she ends up escaping the underworld, well, those are a little bit up in the air right now. Still though, Circe, being the very intelligent and very driven mother figure she is, goes right to work trying to train Diana for when the day might come, wherein she finally escapes the underworld and Hell Island for real, and to prepare her, she decides to read her the story of the Lady or the Tiger, which is actually not a piece of Greek mythology, it's actually a very old, much anthologized tale from the 1800s. Actually, if you're a Venture Brothers fan like me, then you're probably already familiar with the story. Basically, long ago, a princess fell in love with a commoner, which enraged her kingly father. In order to punish the peasant who stole his daughter's heart, the king decided to throw the young man into the arena wherein he would be forced to choose between two doors. Behind one would be a lovely young woman who would become his wife, and on the other, a bloodthirsty man-eating tiger which would lead him to his death. The princess planned to help her lover by nudging him in the right direction. Unfortunately, on the day of the event, she discovered that she would actually not be the lovely young woman behind one of the doors. Instead, it would be an old romantic rival and a woman who the young man had loved once before. It's after that the story is left open-ended as to what exactly the princess chose and what the fate of her young lover was. Naturally, young Diana positively hates this story, and the vague message she feels that it was trying to get across, mainly because she sees herself too much in the shoes of the princess, who she felt was being cruel for even considering not doing the right thing in the moment. Over the next several years, though, Circe is sure to bring up the story and its true meaning several times to her daughter so that they can discuss it, and every time as Diana grows, her take on the material becomes more and more nuanced as she slowly but surely wakes up to the realization that she is not actually meant to see herself as the princess in this story. Now, back in the present, Wonder Woman ends up winning her fight against the Chimera and is unfortunately forced to kill her, a fact of which she does not enjoy at all. So much to the point that she goes out of her way to give the poor Chimera an impromptu funeral right then and there in the arena. This moment also really ends up bringing out the true Witch of the Wilds inside Wonder Woman, who takes the opportunity to get all up in Hades' face, saying that he is a fake god no more than Zeus's errand boy. And while he might think his position as Warden of Hell and Warden of Diana and her mother gives him status, in reality he's just as stuck in the crappy underworld as they are. Still though, Hades is bound by his agreement. He promised that if Wonder Woman had won in the arena, then she would get to choose between two doors. One would lead to her freedom back to the mortal realm, and the other would lead to death and damnation. This is of course where that story from childhood ends up coming back in a major way, as Wonder Woman is sure to read her mother's signal as to which door is correct. Now you see, Hades had assumed that he had won the day in this situation and outsmarted mother and daughter. Yes, Diana picked the right door, but by returning to the mortal realm, she could never return to hell and see her mother ever again. But little did he know, his very unhappy wife Persephone had actually been working with Wonder Woman for years, striking with her the very same deal for pomegranate seeds that keeps her trapped in the underworld. Now not only can Wonder Woman return to the mortal world and continue her good work as a hero, but she also does not need to abandon her mother. She can save her and return to this realm every month. The heroes are elated about how all of this ended up, and Hades is positively beside himself with blinding rage, saying that Wonder Woman has made a powerful and dedicated enemy this day. Still, it's very hard to break mother and daughter's good mood right now. Wonder Woman returns Circe to the island and they bid their teary farewells. Truly, it does feel like one chapter closing. Circe has done all she can as a mother, and now it's time to truly let Wonder Woman go, as she writes the next chapter in her amazing saga. And so that was Absolute Wonder Woman issue number 7, everybody, and I gotta say, this was a damn fine little story. Few comic books on the shelf really make me feel intelligent for reading them, but this is definitely one of them, be it the great ways in which Kelly Thompson chooses to remix and remaster classic mythology and stories, as well as all the amazing Greek-inspired artwork. In fact, I dare say this new Absolute Wonder Woman series does something that I haven't really seen done since probably the original Wonder Woman, and that is really managed to strike this great balance between superhero and fantasy. It's really damn good, and I cannot wait to see what they do next. Overall, I would give this one another very positive 8 out of 10. Great stuff. Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest. That's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow, and help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye bye.